with a WWE Hall of Famer saying Jon Moxley should have apologized to fans during his recent return promo on Dynamite and more. This is Wrestling Hub. My name is John and you're watching the Wrestling Report for January 21st.
Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Wrestling Hub Official and also follow us on Twitter at Wrestling_Hub.
Following a return to SmackDown, Lita is set to be involved in the upcoming Women's Royal Rumble. Talking about her having one last run in WWE, Dave Meltzer noted in the Wrestling Observer newsletter that Lita could be staying with the company after the pay-per-view. Lita was announced last week for the Rumble and debuted on SmackDown on January 14th, doing an angle with Flair. She talked about coming in for a last run. It did come across like she's back as a regular for the short term as a wrestler, and not just doing the Rumble and being gone like most of the women. The injury to Banks and quitting of Storm did make them short babyface women for Flair, since Naomi, the top one pushed, is obviously building to a match with Deville. With NXT 2.0 focusing on those that are big and have an athletic background, WWE is apparently shocked by the low amount of viewers that are coming in. As WrestleVotes reported, internally WWE is said to be disappointed with NXT 2.0 in its first 4 months. Sources said they thought more fans would gravitate towards the newer stars quickly than they have. Could it just be too much? Too fast? Either way, I don't expect any changes to the concept just yet. With news of Sami Zayn re-signing with WWE, further information is now available, as it was said in The Observer that Zayn signed a new multi-year contract. This actually took place back at the same time Kevin Owens signed, and we noted that the locker room talk was that he signed. Unlike with Owens, it wasn't confirmed by company sources past other wrestlers, but the signing coincided with when they had him start working with Lesnar and Reigns on SmackDown. Zayn is now involved in a feud with Jackass star Johnny Knoxville, as the star recently took to Twitter to verify that he is sticking around in the company. While the Wednesday night ratings wars have ended between NXT and AEW Dynamite, Raw is apparently getting beat by Dynamite when it comes to live fans and attendance. Meltzer noted this in The Observer. We'll go with attendance first. From October through the end of December for the quarter, AEW averaged 5,644 paid. SmackDown TV tapings averaged 7,083 paid, which does not have the advantage of being on Friday nights. Raw television tapings averaged 5,377 paid. WWE house shows in the US averaged 3,947 paid. They have the advantage of being on weekends, but house shows are not as big a draw as television tapings. Overall, if you are talking average attendance for the quarter, AEW is actually ahead by a 5,644 to 5,150 paid margin, but that is misleading, since AEW doesn't run house shows that would likely decrease their average. That said, it is still a huge news story that AEW is ahead in any form, and in particular ahead in both the New York and Chicago markets. Recently, Mustafa Ali made it known to fans that he had requested his release from WWE, but a report came out saying after that the company would not be letting the star go. Ali apparently has years left on his current deal, and has not been seen on programming in months. Speaking about Ali in the newsletter, it was pointed out that a current AEW star worked hard to push Ali when he was a part of Creative. When Bryan Danielson was in Creative, he pushed hard for Ali, and a gauntlet match was scheduled for him to go about an hour before losing, with the idea it would get him over. He ended up injured in a match with Orton just before that match. Kofi Kingston took his spot in the match, got over, and it led to Kingston being slotted to take the WWE title from Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania. This isn't to say Ali was going to win the title, as he was not scheduled, but once he returned, his ship sailed. He was given a gimmick as the leader of Retribution, but that group failed before they started. At the end of the day, and there are always exceptions, but most people who have the drive to be top workers aren't going to be happy at 35 while in their prime to not be used. Bianca Belair had an incredible journey to win the SmackDown Women's title from Sasha Banks at WrestleMania 37 following her victory in the Women's Royal Rumble last year. Talking about her on After the Bell, MVP confirmed that he wanted Belair to join his faction, the Hurt Business. Behind the scenes, I was actually talking to Bianca Belair somewhat about potentially adding her to an organization, a little faction that I used to be a part of. This is because there were lots of people talking about, hey, you need a woman in the group, and there were some discussions with Belair, but things went a different way. On the Casio's Cut podcast, Paul Heyman touched on his days running ECW, saying this about how much help social media would have provided during that time. We would have exploited that, like every other opportunity and every other platform that we had. I can't tell you that it would have hurt ECW, because if it would have hurt ECW, then I wouldn't be doing my job understanding the parameters and the opportunities that are presented by any platform or any concept of distribution that was happening at the time. And again, would it have helped? One would only hope. People who sit there and they say, well, this ruined this industry. It means you couldn't keep up. BlackBerry couldn't keep up with smartphones, so BlackBerry went away. Vinyl records, though vinyl is making some sort of a comeback now, it's really more of a novelty. Vinyl records couldn't keep up with CDs. CDs couldn't come up with streaming network television. Television can't keep up with Netflix. So either you adapt to the distribution platforms that surround you, or you become obsolete. So would social media have helped ECW? It better have, because that would be the obligation and the onus would have been on us, or we would have gone out of business faster than we did anyway. After making his AEW debut at Double or Nothing last year, Mark Henry has signed a multi-year deal with the promotion. While he has made it known that he wants to wrestle for the company, he recently noted on Busted Open Radio that he may need surgery. I recently got in the ring and started working with the big guys. Right now, I'm still in pain. As your girl Janet said to me, don't get in there, in the ring, and lose your mind. I only know one way. I did get in there and lose my mind, and I'm beat up. I think I'm gonna have to have surgery on my shoulder. Talking on his podcast, former writer for WWE Freddie Prinze Jr. noted how protective Vince McMahon was over the character of Kane, with him recalling this example. I remember, I came in there, and I don't remember the promo. This was, over 10 years ago, but there was the word destroyed. Vince McMahon reads the word destroyed, and he stops and he looks at me. He's like pissed off at me, like I've done something not wrong, but offensive. I go, what? And he shouts, he goes, Kane would never say destroyed. He would say obliterate. There's this long pause, right? You gotta remember the way my brain works. I'm not a reactionary dude and I'm comfortable with silence, so I don't mind it. While Trent and Rocky Romero were set to take on the Young Bucks tonight for Rampage, Romero has taken to Twitter to let fans know that he has tested positive. Busted Open would break news regarding this matter, saying that this match will now feature Trent taking on Nick Jackson in singles action. With Drew McIntyre currently out of action with a neck injury, an update was given in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, with it said that regarding McIntyre, he's been doing rehab and decompression therapy on his neck. He's taking the John Cena approach of double sessions 6 days a week and is pretty insistent he'll make it back for WrestleMania. With Jon Moxley making his long-awaited return to AEW this week, many were happy to see the former champion back in the ring. On Busted Open Radio, Bully Ray said Moxley should have apologized to fans for letting them down during that promo. I didn't enjoy that they started off with Moxley. They came out with a bang. People were ready for it, and Moxley said what he needed to say. However, I would have liked to have heard just a little bit of accountability from Jon. I understand the whole demons thing, and we always use the word demons as a creative word to get around the real issues, whether it's an alcohol issue, whether it's a drug issue. In Tommy Dreamer's case, it's an eating issue. Everybody has some kind of demon that they have to get around. We have our demons. These demons got the best of Jon for a time period where he had to step away from AEW. I would have liked to have heard him say a bit of an apology to the AEW fans. You don't have to apologize to the boys, even though the boys do count on you, but any one of those guys and gals could have the same problem that you did, and trust me, I came up in an era where a slew of men and women had their demons. The fans expect a little bit more from you. What about the fans that bought tickets to see AEW and Jon Moxley while Jon was away taking care of his problems? I'm very happy that he left and took care of his problems, and he looked incredibly healthy last night, and I love everything that he said. I just would have loved to have heard a little bit of accountability. I don't know if I'm sorry is necessarily the right word, but maybe endear yourself a little bit to the crowd if you felt you let them down. This is coming from me, the hard ass of all hard asses. Personally, if it was me in the same situation, the first thing I would have said is, guys, I'm sorry if I let you down. I think that would have been the proper thing to do. Following these comments from bully Jon Moxley would end up trending on Twitter, with many fans reacting to the WWE Hall of Famer's take on the situation. Now that I've heard the comments, Bully Ray's take on Jon Moxley is absolute ass. Why? Why would he owe the fans an apology for taking care of his personal problems? Stupid shit all around. Let's all laugh at Bully Ray's horrible take on Jon Moxley. Strange from Bully Ray. This wasn't Jon Moxley the character getting help, this is real life stuff. Mox looks amazing on his return. My point is that I just hate everything that Bully Ray said here, especially when talking about Jon Moxley's return, plain and simple. Moxley's wife Renee would react to Bully's comment, writing, "Real bad take, Bully Ray." Paige would reply to that saying, "There's a reason everyone prefers Devin." What an awful, awful thing to say. A former guest host of Monday Night Raw, singer Meat Loaf, has passed away at the age of 74, with WWE releasing this statement. "We are saddened to learn that Michael Lee Ade, better known as Meat Loaf and beloved by fans all over the world, passed away at the age of 74. Our sincerest thoughts are with his family, friends, and those affected by his passing. Meat Loaf's larger-than-life personality and distinctive musical style paved the way for an iconic entertainment career. The Dallas, Texas native authored one of the best-selling albums of all time with the release of Bat Out of Hell, and won a Grammy Award for the Best Rock Vocal Performance solo for I Would Do Anything for Love, But I Won't Do That in 1994. Meat Loaf also enjoyed a successful acting career and delivered indelible performances in the Rocky Horror Picture Show, Fight Club, and many others. The WWE Universe fondly remembers Meat Loaf's appearance as a Raw guest host on May 10th, 2010. The chart-topping musician pitched Randy Orton one of his songs for his new entrance music that led to a memorable exchange with the Viper. WWE extends its condolences to Ade's family, friends, and fans. And this was your Pro Wrestling News Update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.